the standings for the medal games have been decided. The bronze medal dress rehearsal is Team Canada will take on Australia in this one. And what are we going to expect? It is, as I mentioned, a dress rehearsal. So even though there isn't anything on the line in terms of seeding or anything, what do you expect to see from these two teams here tonight?
Well, I suspect the seed will be planted in this game as to how they're going to fare in the bronze medal game. These two teams have battled each other a lot over the years, and I think we're going to be in for a treat as far as how hard they're going to be competing.
And Canada uses their bench maybe a little bit more than Australia does, so do you think that'll play a factor as this game wears on and maybe into tomorrow as well?
Well, we'll have to wait and see how close the score is at the end of each quarter. I would like to think that Australia would like to develop and rotate their lines at some point, but I suspect that they're probably going to run their best lines for the first 2 quarters, but we'll have to wait and see.
The one lineup they go with, do the Australians, is Bad, Bond, Fawcett, and Ozan, the 2 high pointers and 2 low, and you expect to see Edmondson a lot. He, number 14 for Australia, plays a lot. And
yeah, so what I've seen, what Australia's been doing in every match is that they start the 3-5, 2-2.5, and they eventually sub in their high-low with the bat and bond combo.
And Canada likes to use their bench a lot, as you mentioned. There's a lot of newcomers to the Canada Cup, 5 in total on Team Canada, and one of the guys that I noticed today and speaking with you before is Smith, number 25, very powerful player. Apparently, I didn't know this, but he played wheelchair basketball previously as well.
Yeah, I find that a lot of athletes that transition from wheelchair basketball into wheelchair rugby already have a step up on similar athletes because they just have tremendous chair skills that they learn in wheelchair basketball. A lot of those chair skills transfer over to wheelchair rugby.
Yeah, for sure. Not quite. You got to get used to the contact, I'm sure, but it's both teams, if you see this as their tradition in wheelchair rugby, prior to and after the game, they exchange handshakes.
I think there's presents that are traded between the two captains. Those presents vary too. They've been little bottles of vodka before at some tournaments in Europe.
Maybe they're trying to ruin you before if you got to play them the next day.
Yeah, that's their secret plan.
What's the best thing you've ever gotten one of those present baskets?
I remember one time the Japanese team gave us a whole bunch of candy. So maybe, yeah, like you said, maybe that's their secret plan, to get us fat or drunk, or hungover before we play.
Anyway, so you're not able to compete at a high level. We're almost set to get underway here. There's Canada and the Australians, and I'm sure that you're mentioning Canada would be thrilled with a bronze medal. I'm sure that Australia, being the first-ranked team going into this, maybe they saw themselves in the gold medal game, but this is a tight sport, as we mentioned, and the U.S. and Japan have gotten off to some great starts, and one of the Japanese, actually first one we worked together, where they were able to pull out a 1-point win in overtime. So,
well, even though Canada's outmatched on paper in terms of maybe function or their matchups, I think Canada is going to come out fired up and they're going to compete. I have no doubt that Canada is going to raise their game and come out to, at the very least, compete.
So it does appear as if we're going to see a little bit of a different look, as Harrison, Edmondson, Fawcett, and Bat, I believe, are going to start for the Australians. Whitehead, Desjardins, Morale, and Caldwell, I believe, for Team Canada, and we're almost ready to go, and we got 2 guys with long arms here, so let's see if Whitehead can flag the initial tip-off down. Ooh. And Bat off the referee, but Bat is able to regain possession and use those hard strides to center. Morale trying to cut him off. Whitehead coming in, but he goes through the middle. Harrison here. Back to Bat, who sets things up. He's got a lane as Canada collapsing back. And Bat, as we've seen many times before, just bulldogging his way in to give the Australians the early lead and first point in this one.
Nice quick inbound for an easy peasy goal here for Team Canada.
Whitehead, take it in. And now it's going to be an Australian inbound. Harrison getting set to do that for the Australians, and Canada trying to make their outs difficult. A nice pass there by Harrison finds Edmondson, who in turn finds Bat. And a couple quick scores just 31 seconds into this one. Caldwell here. Goes hard over the top. Able to find Whitehead trying to get away from Bat, so he'll turn. Nice pass into the middle of the court where he finds open Morale, but Bat, good job of backside pursuit along with Edmondson, able to prevent him originally. Now gets it to Whitehead. One hand on the ball now, covers it up. Morale. Caldwell's with him. Bat. And Fawcett doing a good job of stopping him there, but he's able to get it to Whitehead in his patented back in. He likes to do that a lot.
Yeah, nice way of Travis Morale there protecting the ball away from Riley Bat. When he's right up on you, he's such a presence on the ball that you got to worry about him flipping the ball at any point.
Bat with those good strong strides takes it in.
We've seen Australia do this a number of times where they pretend to go back in the key and they're going to pounce on their opponents right at center. Meanwhile, Riley Bat trying to one-man press.
Whitehead takes some contact, but he does find Morale, who converts. Harrison with the inbound for the Australians. Bat opening himself up, and he does get the ball. Fawcett with him, trying to give him a lane. He's triple teamed. Look at him fight his way through, moving his chair with his body. Gets it to Edmondson. Caldwell on him.
Big pressure. Great defense by Team Canada.
It made them take longer than they wanted to, but nonetheless, it was still a good job by Bat, but they did run out of time as Edmondson had the ball, but forced to use their first player's timeout in this one.
Team Canada would like to deny Riley the first touch off the inbound, but if he does get the ball, they got to work together to try to stop the ball or try to stop Riley with the ball and or force him to make a bad pass by tripling him.
Australia able to take advantage of that timeout as Harrison with a good pass over to the middle to Bat. So if you're going to use those timeouts, you want to make sure that you take advantage of them, and the Australians did there. Morale through center as Australia collapses in the zone defense. Whitehead gives him a pick, so he's got some space going the other way. Now uses the middle, bats onto that, and collides with him hard. Drops back to Whitehead, quick pass over the top to Caldwell. So good job of quick ball movement in tight by Team Canada.
It's a good transition by Team Canada. At the very least, they're forcing a give and go by the deuces in the .5. The more passes they can force, the better.
Edmondson now is building up some speed, trying to get away from Caldwell. He does just that.
Nice push by number 14 going coast to coast.
Morale looking for an out. So far they look pretty covered. And it's a loose ball, and Riley Bat charges in there. He's off his wheels.
Ooh. So what I understand from that call is there was a loose ball. It was almost a jump ball, but because Riley Bat came flying in trying to pick up the loose ball, I suspect his front end touched the ground, and therefore they called a holding call. Or
saw his backside, definitely was in the air. Desjardins, nice scoop pass to Whitehead, another one to Caldwell. So again, a good job of Canada supporting one another and using the overtop play. Bat again with it, directing traffic. Harrison, Edmondson, and Fawcett with him. Bat spinning away from Morale. Edmondson's got him in a lane. He's not scared of contact as Riley Bat kind of flipped up on one wheel there, but landed perfectly. Is Morale going to be able to get this? Oh, he is contacted hard by Edmondson. Looks like maybe Edmondson might have been able to just leave it there because it looked like that one might have been going out. And Morale looks like he's in a little bit of pain here as he may have landed awkwardly on his shoulder, it looked like.
Well, it looked like the ball was about to sail out of bounds, but Travis Morale was racing as hard as he could to try to get that loose ball. Number 14 did get a piece of the back. Was it number 14 or was that Morrison?
I believe it was
14, I think
Edmondson
it was.
there.
So he got a piece of the back of his wheel. They called a spin call because you're not allowed to contact a player from behind the axle. I wouldn't say not allowed, but if it results in him falling out, definitely they're going to make that call.
And I know it's easier said than done from here, but maybe Edmondson, it looked like that ball, like you said, was going out, so maybe should have just opted to leave it, but it's a moot point now as Canada has the ball and they do have an abbreviated power play. Whitehead absorbs some contact, gets it to Morale, who is none the worse for wear after taking that contact, and gets the last laugh as he does put it over the goal line. So Edmonton's out, now receives the ball from Harrison. Whitehead doing a great job of pressuring. He might have to use a timeout here. Instead, gets good job of support from Riley Batt. Charges over to center, just gets it to Harrison in time. So the Australians dodge a bullet. Now look to set up on offense as there's a big scrum for the ball. Batt ends up coming away with it. Charging to the outside, now the middle. So the Australians a bit of a dicey play at center and then just after, but they are able to escape with a point there. 4:26 to go in this one, and the Australians are up by 1, 7-6. Caldwell now with the ball. Gets center.
Nice
Now,
patience by Caldwell.
and a great job of Whitehead just kind of, it was on the side and then just snuck to the middle ever so slightly.
This could be good for Team Canada.
Long pass by Batt to Harrison. Protects the ball from Caldwell. Got Whitehead coming in from beside. Double team, now triple team. And is it Morale heading to the box? No, I don't believe so. It looked like he may have reached in there, but not called.
Again, Team Canada trying their best to keep the ball out of Riley's hands as much as possible.
It was called, so I should have went with my initial instinct.
Looks like Australia's getting ready to sub. Bat and Bond combo.
Edmondson
Looks like coming back in.
just going to make sure that they try to trap Morale. Maybe actually it looks like no one is, so he's going to get out easy there. Morale looking down court. All the men are tied up. Risky pass, but it gets through to Caldwell. One more. Whitehead. And so again, Canada using that long ball. Good supports in the scrums and the one over the top play in the middle. Working for them so far. Edmondson gets away, a little bit of room. Whitehead on him, but he gets it to Batt. A little bit of trouble as he's got two Canadians on him.
Oh.
And the third rejects it. That's Whitehead.
Big pressure again by the Canadians.
It was the third man in, Whitehead. He was on the double team, and then Whitehead came in late and was able to swat it away.
Canada's working really hard in transition. They're trying to keep Fawcett, the .5, out of the play. Therefore, they can just double Riley without him being able to use his pick. And at the very least, they're forcing the ball into one of the deuces.
Each team's used a timeout. Tied at 8, 3:32 to go in an entertaining opening quarter. Both teams have their arms in this one so far.
We'll see how Team Canada adjusts, that they have the same lineup on, but the personnel of Australia has changed up. We'll see if they'll make any adjustments.
So can Canada capitalize on the turnover? Caldwell looking down court, goes high, and ooh, Chris Bond almost intercepted that, but that's where it pays off to have those long arms of Whitehead as he's just able to get it in.
Whitehead's such a big target, and he can drop it into him on pretty much anywhere, and he'll get his head big mitts on it.
Bond to Batt, almost collided with Desjardins and his own player to stop him.
Team Canada again putting a lot of pressure on their press.
Double team, but he gets it to Bond, who was...
Big pressure. There looks like he's going to call a timeout. Ooh.
But they do beat the Heat.
That was a great play by Fawcett. Fawcett went behind Bond in order to help them prevent from going over and back.
And you can see the Canadian coaches really enthused about the way their team is playing, encouraging them to keep it up. That pressure. Relentless so far in this first quarter by the Canadians as Morale now again with the ball. Whitehead providing a pick. He's reached in on by Bat. Able to get free to Caldwell, and he's got a lane. Bond on the inbound. Wow, Eugenie wasn't really expecting that. It looked like he might have been in a route to pick that one off, but it's Riley Bat ahead over center. A nice pick from Ozan.
Canadians having a little more difficulty trying to contain Riley Bat on the inbound because of Bond's range.
Caldwell.
Go ahead.
Morale back with it. Oh, he's initiates some contact with Bond, who's able to stay in his chair and then get it out of his hands, but it looked like he got a piece of him.
Looks like a reach on number 10, Bond. You'll see the Australians maybe try to pressure on the inbound, but once the ball comes in, most teams tend to concede and plan for the next play.
Yeah, that's what I noticed a lot as well. Morale taking his sweet time before reeling that one in. And a short trip to the box by Bond, who's now going to inbound the ball for the Australians. Bat reverses his speed. Whitehead's not happy that he got away from him there, and he makes one more pivot. And when he does pivot, it's almost like he pivots with his body so much that he almost comes out of his chair when you watch him.
Australians doing their center court trap again. We'll see how this plays out.
Rejected out of Morale's hands, but Caldwell doing a good job of support, able to prevent a turnover and start things on the offense for Team Canada, who get over center. A hard-charging Bond isn't able to turn it over. And Caldwell supporting and then making a very nice pass to Whitehead. Bond to Ozan, back to Bond. And Bond's going to carry that one in over center.
I think that's exactly what happens when you put so much attention on Riley Bat. The give and go opens up, and then you have an easy goal by Bond here.
Whitehead, a heavy reach there by Bat.
So we're getting close to the time where teams start thinking about clock management. It's 1:37 left on the clock. Teams are already strategizing as to how to give themselves the best chance to score last goal.
Canada has the advantage here, so they can tick off those 40 seconds if they choose to do so. Whitehead.
Looks like they're going to set up a trap on Riley Bat, force him to inbound.
And why did they take it in so quickly there?
Well, as long as the trap is set up on Riley, that the whole goal is to try to get their number one to inbound.
Bond. Pressured hard by Caldwell and Desjardins, so he spins to find a lane and then is contacted hard in the middle by Whitehead. But
getting close to 12.
Furiously Bond is able to get over center.
You'll see Team Australia trying to hold the score for at around 55 to 52.
Bat looks back at his bench, throws up his shoulders and starts the other way. Now gets an outside route. A nice pick again by Ozan.
In it.
We're out again. Not sure what happened. The board, we went dead. Oh.
Should I turn it
off?
I didn't touch anything.
I can't hear my mic.
I can't hear either.
Okay. So we are live. Apparently some technical difficulties, but bear with us here as we get those sorted out. It's 13-12, 14 Canada, 42.7 seconds to go in this one. And
sounds like we're back on.
We are back. Caldwell gets it to Whitehead. Morale. The pressure from Bat. shimmying and shaking, trying to prevent this. Now Bond comes in with a heavy hit on Morale, who bounces the ball. Gets the count down. It comes out of Dejanay's hands. Who's going to come out with it? It is the Australians, and a big play there. Costly error for Team Canada, potentially. And it looks like they will be able to make them pay, so looked like a pretty big unforced turnover there by Team Canada. Maybe Dejanay not just being aware of what was around him.
Team Canada still has 8 seconds to run the full court and score. That's plenty of time. Tough break for Team Canada. They had their offensive set as good as look as they could get out of that ensuing inbound.
So they're just making sure the clock correction is good here.
So the clock doesn't start until a player touches it. Team Canada looking to advance the ball as far as they can, without trying to save ticks on the clock so they can give themselves the best chance to score here.
Been changed to 8.1, so a few ticks were added. Caldwell, a short pass to Whitehead, spinning, tries a long lob, goes short to Caldwell. Doesn't look like he's going to be able to score here, and he will not. So a big play by the Australians at the end of the quarter, turning that ball over, so it sends us to the second quarter of play, tied at 13 apiece, and a very up-tempo and energetic start to this one.
Australians with some tough key defense to force that turnover late in the quarter there in order to deny Canada's last goal.
And I wonder if the piece of play will keep up as this game wears on. But the closer it is, the more you think that would be the case, especially because these two teams are playing tomorrow, so you want to kind of send as many messages as you can leading into the next game. A few penalties on both sides have been called, so both teams have been rather aggressive in trying to compete for the ball.
I think Team Canada should be fairly happy with their performance in the first quarter. They did a lot of good things, but they did have one turnover late in the quarter there that they're probably a little upset about. But anytime those plays happen, you just got to shake it off, stay focused, and continue on with the next play.
Team Canada, of course, also used 2 timeouts. The Australians used 1. So we'll see how that plays in going forward. And while we're at it, we want to say a thank you to a few of our sponsors, starting with the Government of Canada and the Government of BC, and that's Ministry of Tourism, Arts and Culture, as well as Richmond Sport Hosting and this great facility, the Richmond Olympic Oval, for putting this great event on and giving us an excellent venue to have this event at. So big thank you to everyone. Now we are ready to go. It is Canada inbound.
Canada looking to keep their deuces on, making some subs with Fabien Lavoie and Trevor Hirschfield.
Morale looking for an option. Hirschfield, as you mentioned, on the court. Instead it goes to Lavoie, who's contacted hard by Bond, but gets it to Caldwell. Canada establishes that 1-point advantage as Bond inbounds for Australia. Whoa, a little bit of a risky gravity pass, but Bat able to knock it down. Bond directing traffic. Ultimately, Bat will score.
We'll see if Australia does their center court trap again.
Caldwell to Morale. Trying to escape the heat of Bat, who contacts him. Now Hirschfield's going to help him with that. Bond the second man in, but he's able to get it ahead to Lavoie. Swatted at by Bat. Lavoie now stopping up, getting things organized. Just inside the offensive zone. Swivels away a one-hander and couldn't find Caldwell. That seemed pretty risky there. Caldwell looked frustrated with that one. Was that just a little too low, or?
Well, Team Canada was trying to execute an offensive key play there, and it just looked like an errant pass. Just looked like an unforced turnover.
Bat scooting away from coverage. We're out of Caldwell. Over the top. Oh, almost dropped by Lavoie. Looked like he had it in one hand, but Bat knocks it away.
Oh, ball's still in play.
It is, and lucky for Team Canada, Morale scoops it up. So some anxious moments for Team Canada, but they do recover the ball.
Nice patience by Travis Morale, knowing that he heard footsteps behind him with Riley Bat barreling down on him.
Able to scoop that one up off the wheel.
Looks like Riley's a little upset that a missed opportunity there.
Lavoie might be the happiest guy in the building. Bond trying to find back Caldwell. Keeping him so he's not an option, and Fawcett drops it back to Bond. Now wheeling out with Bat on a 2-on-1. Lavoie trying to prevent the ease of that, but he's able to cut to the middle. Morale, a short inbound, almost picked off by Bat, but Lavoie with it again. Bond gives him some hard contact, but he's able to get it over the top to Caldwell.
Canada looking to pick up the .5s in transition. Seems to get what they want out of this by having Fawcett inbound here.
Fawcett he's done it before, but he's inbounding here, goes short to Bat, and it makes it easier when you got guys like Bat to inbound it to. And
Yard sale.
Over the top. I'm not sure who that is went down, but his wheel came off as well.
That's Fabian Lavoie, the three-pointer that went down after that big hit.
Wheel off, man down.
You see that the teams are always jostling for position, even when there's a man down. Looks like they're trying to corral number 10, Trevor Hirschfield. Hopefully, what they're hoping for to do is try to have their number 8, number 6 clamp down on him. If they do manage to get a hold of Hirschfield, that means they're going to have Riley and Bond versus Caldwell and Fabian Lavoie on the ensuing inbound. That's exactly what they're looking for.
So a couple Canadians locked up in the Australian coverage.
Hirschfield looking for the bench for instruction whether he should inbound or not. We'll see how this plays out.
Morale over the top. Nice pass to Lavoie. Morale now out with him, but he tried to use a wide lane. Bat contacts him almost apologetically. Is that a spin there?
Yeah, that was a spin. Sometimes these spin plays happen so fast that it's sometimes a difficult call for some of these refs, because a spin call can be up for interpretation depending on whether they feel it was warranted or if it was dangerous, or because a lot of times people do contact behind the axle, then they're not all called spins. I mean, we do play a contact sport. You can't be calling every single ticky-tacky call. So the refs want to maintain some flow in the game, all the while still managing it.
Lavoie gets a pick from Hirschfield. Morale now trying to help out as well, as Lavoie gets by the coverage, making sure things are set on the other end as we see a battle before he will ultimately score. 6:01 to go, and we've got a tie game at 17 apiece. Bat, nice long shoot pass over the top to Bond. Good job of Lavoie to keep up with him, to stop him initially. Now he gets help from Hirschfield, forcing Bond to stop up, finds Bat. Can he use the outside? No, he can't. Forced to spin again as he bounces the ball. Now goes all the way to the other side of the court and will score there.
Looks like an equipment timeout.
Appears we will have some substitutions coming up shortly. And it is an equipment timeout as Ozan getting a new tire. Good to go. Morale with the inbound for Canada. Lavoie Trying to get away from Bond. Morale looking to help him do that, and he does. Bond charging from behind, bat with him, and Caldwell in the back court gets a nice pass. What does Bond have his sleeve up here on the inbound? Short pass to Fawcett and back to Bond.
Bond's got some serious open court speed too, so once he gets some daylight, he's pretty hard to stop.
Yeah, give him 1 or 2 strides and he's pretty much gone. As the ball is contested deep in the Canadian court, and a nice one play by Morale there. What a desperation play, and good vision and instinct there, able to find Caldwell down in the deep court.
Yeah, Morale using his peripheral vision, sensing that Bond was in the mix. You didn't have time to actually catch the ball, he just tipped it.
Bat spins away from one, hooks it over the top. Speaking of nice passes, that was one there. Bat to Bond. Couple twists and turns. Good job of Morale, but he is picked off by Ozan. Eventually, Bond just protects the ball enough and eases in over the line.
Aussie's always working in transition, trying to help corral Hirschfield. They've been doing that the past 3 or 4 inbounds. We'll see if Canada makes any adjustments.
As Caldwell's not really happy with his pass there, but wasn't able to find Lavoie, so it will be, I believe, a turnover. Yes, it will be, and Edmondson set to inbound here. Edmondson, right in the middle of the bat. Another one to Edmondson. Doesn't look like he'll be able to catch up with this one. Yes, he will. Looked like Hirschfield was ahead of him, but somehow was able to wheel ahead and find that one. I thought that was a turnover for sure.
And that's a one-pointer drag racing with a two-pointer there. Hirschfield being one of the best one-pointers in the world. Just missed him.
A deep one-hook pass from Caldwell finds Morale. 4:29 to go. The Australians up by 1, 21-20. Nicholson inbounding the ball for the Australians into the game now. Gets it to Bat. Now sets a good pick. And a good shimmy shake by Bat. Able to find a lane on the outside. Now he's over center. Finds that middle court and again kind of pops out his chair as he shifts his momentum. So it's a 2-point game now. Morale looking for an out. Finds one in Caldwell. Gets over center. Spun over. But stays on in his chair. Drops it off to Morale. Bat making life difficult for him on the other side. Caldwell giving Morale a lane. Just stops up and delays. Looks wide over the top. Lavoie knocking that one down. Now he goes to Hirschfield.
Nice play by the Canadians.
Nicholson again. Tosses one out to Bat. Now opens himself up for a pick there and a good one on Lavoie. Bat wheeling against Caldwell. Tried to stop him up. Got a good piece of him, but it's not going to matter. Bat has yet to come off the court as well as Bond. I don't think either of them have seen the bench yet.
The Aussies work really hard in transition to try to keep Fabian out of the play. He's forced to call inbounder, otherwise he can't be part, or he can't contribute to the inbound if he's all the way deep.
Lavoie to Morale really contested hard deep in the court. Doesn't have a lot to work with, but a good job of stopping up and waiting for a man instead of panicking. They're still not over center yet though. Lavoie rejected out of his hands by Bat.
Great play by Riley Bat, getting a hand on that pass without taking a penalty. Results in a 12-second call because the Canadians could not advance over half within the 12-second window.
Yeah, good battle by them, but sometimes good battle isn't enough. You need to get it by with that time. And the Australians doing a good job of pressuring up court, ultimately getting a turnover. Edmondson double teamed and swatted at hard by the Canadians, and Whitehead and I think we got a call here on Whitehead. Excuse me, Smith.
I think Shane Smith got that penalty, yeah.
So the Canadians short-handed, 3:23 to go. Australians looking to lengthen their lead to the biggest one of the match at 3. And Edmonton will delay, making sure they trap Smith inside before they do score. They're trying to, but it gets out. Now he's forced to inbound. Launches one to Whitehead. Gets a double team there. But gave it to Smith. Starting to pick up a few strides and some speed. And ultimately just cut straight in there. Good job of recognition by Smith and knowing where the open lane was going to be.
Nice little pump fake at the end there to get Riley Bat to bite on the outlet.
Bat starting from deep in his end. Trying to force his way through Whitehead and Caldwell. A little bit of a pick from Nicholson helps him get a lot of space. And Edmonton open in deep court gets the pass. So they do get a 3-point lead now. 2:54 to go in the second quarter. Whitehead contacted hard, but he finds Smith. Had a little bit of trouble reeling it in, so he wasn't able to get his speed going. Now he's double teamed by Bat and Edmondson, but in comes Hirschfield to help him out. Whitehead working his way free. A nice lateral pass to Caldwell. Gets a pick from Rodriguez, and then Bat was able to get free. So Caldwell, a little bit of a dangerous low pass into Whitehead, who just kind of bounced it down and was able to corral it. And Nicholson set to inbound for Australia. Flicks one ahead. Bat, he's so good at getting started from almost a zero position of movement to, it's like a Ferrari 0 to 60.
He's so tough to stop. I mean, everyone talks about how fast and elusive he is, but the truth is he showed incredible patience there. He waited for his picks, set it up, and then exploded when the time was right. So not only is he a presence with his physical ability, but he's also a very smart player.
Quite a battle down court we have between Smith and Nicholson, trying to fight for real estate in the backcourt. Canada will inbound, and Whitehead gets it to the aforementioned Smith. Able to change his lane, and talk about head fakes. There's a good one from Whitehead there. He's got a middle lane, and Edmondson closing hard from behind. Bat doing a good job of swiveling in to try to disrupt him, but he is able to fight it over the line.
Nice push by Mike Whitehead there, working his way through traffic.
Bat.
Big pressure here, big pressure.
Couple spins. What a hook into open coverage. Edmondson has all day with that. Wow, what vision.
The Aussies discussing what they want to do on this press. They look like they're gonna drop back in the key, but they backpick number 14, so they're forced to press now.
Smith absorbing some heavy contact from Bat. Almost rejected out of his hands, but Caldwell's there to pick it up. He's under pressure. Finds Smith far side. Goes into the middle. Contacted hard by Nicholson as those two re-engage their acquaintance, but Caldwell is able to score. Nicholson tosses one out to Edmondson. Chests it down and one hooks it into open space, and Bat's going to confidently wheel onto that one. Take some more time off the clock as we start to see the time management aspect of the game take effect here. Bat protecting the ball. Bouncing it now as he slows things down. Just keeping an eye on that shot clock, which is at 12. Getting the countdown from his bench so he knows exactly how much time he has. Gets him in a lane. Late contact by Smith, 56.6 to go.
Canadians looking to score a quick goal here if they can.
Dangerous pass as Nicholson was there in the coverage, but Whitehead able to field it down to Caldwell. Tosses one ahead, and Whitehead again in coverage as Nicholson was there. And he's able to get it to Smith. Fakes a pass into the middle. The Australians making it difficult for Team Canada, but Smith has speed now and only one defender. That's Bat. Bat doing a good job of making him turn a couple times, but Smith, was using his speed, is able to ultimately get it in there. 31.8, so we've got a one possession game before the end of the quarter and a half.
Canadians looking to press here, but they don't want to take a penalty, because if they take a penalty, that means they're essentially handing Australia last goal. They want to pressure them, most likely eventually drop back in the key. It doesn't look like they're able to do that, though, since they have Shane Smith tied up.
15 seconds to go in the half and quarter. Getting the countdown from his bench is Bat. Faking a pass. Wow. Good job of using his peripheries, throwing it into open court to Edmondson. 4 seconds exactly to go. Does Canada have some magic up its sleeve? One more chance to play here. Smith going to inbound this one. Short pass instead to Caldwell. 2, 1. A long Hoper pass. It's not going to work as everyone was covered in the backcourt. And the Australians will go to the third quarter with a 3-point lead. And Australia was definitely starting to pick up the heat as that quarter wound down a little bit.
We had some Canada Cup rookies here, and Eric, number 41, the .5, and Shane Smith, not showing any nervousness or anything. I mean, they look like wily veterans out there.
Smith himself, especially, I thought, has acquitted himself really well. Very powerful, very physical. Trusts his ability. Even a couple head fakes on the last goal that he had on Riley Bat, who defended him really well. He had to contend with him on 2 or 3 different angles, but he did so. So, still a close game, even though Australia has a 3-point lead, and Canada still does have 2 timeouts. Australia with 3. And while we have the time, we want to say hello to a few sponsors and thank them for their support. So a couple hotels, starting with the Sheridan Vancouver Airport, as well as the Hilton Vancouver Airport and the Vancouver Airport Marriott Hotel, which is actually located inside the airport and has helped house, all these hotels have helped house the athletes and everyone that comes out to this event. And then is Vesco Metalcraft, so they are responsible for doing custom rugby wheelchair maintenance and manufacturing. So you'll see a lot of those logos on the back of the players' chairs. And is Hollister, that's medical and containment care company. I am aware of them as well. And the local 258 IBEW, that's the International Brotherhood of Electrical Engineers. So thank you to all our sponsors who go to making this event what it is and so great. We've got a few minutes, is 3 to be exact, before the start of the second half, and there's a lot on the line here. As we mentioned, these two teams will play tomorrow at noon on court 1 here for the bronze medal, so none of these games will overlap each other tomorrow, so you'll be able to catch each and every one, whether it's here listening on Canada Sports TV or here live if you're local at the Richmond Olympic Oval tomorrow. It all starts at 10, and then 12 and 2 are the bronze and gold medal games respectively. And what do you think Canada's messages from their coaching staff going forward?
Oh, I like to think they just want to stick to the process, and that not necessarily focus on the score, but they want to play fundamentally sound. And if they do that, that's a small win in itself, even though the score might not reflect that. As long as they play to the best of their ability and they stick to a certain system and a disciplined style of play, I think they should be happy with the outcome, regardless of the score.
And we mentioned that it all goes, kind of bleeds everything you take from this game. You are playing them tomorrow, so any kind of positives and good things that you're doing on either side you can take forward into tomorrow's game and hopefully get a bronze medal out of it. As Team Canada discussing their last minute strategy before kicking the second half and third quarter of this one off. And performance that hasn't seen batter bond, as I mentioned. They've played the entire game so far. They've been joined by a few different sets of two with them, but they themselves have played the entirety.
They've gotten some of their new guys some playing time too in Nicholson, one of their deuces. They seem to rotate Nicholson, Morrison, and their other deuce. And it seems like Nicholson provides like another defensive element to their press. He's obviously in a picking chair, and that he seems like he's very difficult to get around.
Yeah, he's not afraid to engage physically. We saw him battle Smith on the backcourt there a few times as those two, I don't think we're too happy with each other, and not try to remake their acquaintances at several junctures of this one.
We got another Canada Cup rookie for Team Canada, number 21, Anthony.
Anthony Letourneau. You can tell him by the number 21 or by the goggles he wears, either way. Have you ever tried those goggles before while you're playing?
Negative.
Yeah, it seems like if they fogged up, that would be quite an annoyance, but I guess it saves you a few thumbs in the eye, maybe. As Bat starts the third quarter off with possession over the top to Bond, and the Australians open it up, so they got a 4-point lead now, 30-26. Rao. Whoa, that went into the feet of Letourneau there, and is that just a case of coming off cold and not quite being ready, or?
Well, it looked like a catchable pass. It could very well be a bit of nerves from Anthony here, but he's just got to shake it off and continue on with the next play here, trying to press Riley, the Aussies here.
So a great start by the Australians, converting and then causing a turnover and converting on that as Bond at the business end. So what was a 3-point lead is now a 5-point lead in just 26 seconds. Morale pops one ahead. Lavoie in the middle. Letourneau controlling the ball, but not over center. He's going to get there, though. And again, one ahead. Morale starts from the defense and ends up on the business end of that one.
Anthony looking to redeem himself from that previous possession.
Bond. Bat. Bond open on the far side. Calls for it. And you can hear the Australian coach. And you got to admire the passes sometimes, but the coaches may be a little dicey. Sometimes they don't like those risky plays. But they've executed a few very nice long bombs of both teams. Is Bond to Bat.
Smart play by Anthony there. Their Aussies were probably looking to tie up Fabien Lavoie before they actually scored. Anthony comes in, blasts one of the .5s in order to free up Lavoie, and then calls inbounder, thereby negating any sort of advantage Aussies try to get out in the transition.
Ultimately, it is Letourneau who inbounds for Canada. Bat was on that, but he's able to get it through to Rao, and just ahead of him, Bond to get it to Lavoie.
That's a tough pass to manage, even as a receiver and the passer, with Morale throwing a laser pass, and Fabien Lavoie knowing that someone's behind him, controlling his chair and making that catch.
Bat able to get away from the double team.
So again, you see the Aussies always trying to tie up one person. You'll see the .5s always working together. A lot of times the Batman and Bond work to corral one guy. Their goal here is to try to allow Bat and Bond to play 2-on-3.
Lavoie having trouble contending with Bat in his deep court. He's got one hand on the ball. He better watch it, and it forces him to call a timeout. Good pressure up court by the Australians and Riley Bat specifically. And Canada burns their second last time out, so they got one left after this. And still quite a bit of game left, so we could see that maybe playing a factor as well as this game wears on. Australians up by 5, 33-28. Still 3 timeouts of their own, so they got a few get out of jail free cards left as well. And that's really what I found is the key to this game, is just that The pressure up court off the inbounds is so key, and just being relentless on the ball.
Ideally, most teams would like to pressure the inbound and then still be responsible enough to get back on top and force the teams to at least work to get over half and then work to score. So you make them work all over the court.
Yeah, exactly, and just layers of trouble. Equipment malfunction for Lavoie, needs a new tire. Or just the one that was on, just to be strapped back in. Bat contending with two Canadians, Lavoie and Letourneau. Able to find a lane, now Hirschfield contacts him, but the damage is done as he scoops that one into Bond. Ooh. Almost went over there, did Bond. Morale looking for an option, but doesn't have much of one. Trying to open something up. A little bit of a risky pass as Bond reaches in, but Lavoie able to knock it down. One hand on the ball. Wants a pass. He's not going to get one. He needs help here. He needs help in a big way. They lob one down, and it forces them to use their last timeout. So what could Canada have done differently on that play? Was it just that the Canadian players got out, a little too far ahead of the inbound, or?
Well, assuming that Australia gets what they want by having the .5s have one player, Aussies running 2-on-3, you would like the Canadians to be able to move the ball. Obviously, the ball moves faster than any player can, and essentially just create space. Make it difficult for the two high pointers, Bond and Bat, to cover three people.
So Canada burns the last of its player timeouts at least. 6:07 to go in the third quarter. Hirschfield accepting contact, kind of puts it into the lap of Morale.
Sick play. See, I love those sick plays by low pointers. I mean, those things going to notice. That's Trevor Hirschfield receiving the ball just over half and then being doubled by two 3-5s. That's 7 points on a 1, and he still manages to maintain his composure and get the ball back to his teammates.
Another way to play by Hirschfield there, and it results in, as you mentioned, Canada keeping the ball and ultimately scoring. So it's those type of little things, as I was saying, that you can take into the next game and build on them. Is Bond the other way?
Nice drag right. Fabien Laval, one of the fastest players out there.
Keeping stride for stride, but they are able to get it to Bat, who does score, but good effort there.
Aussie's putting a lot of pressure on this inbound again.
Morale fakes going long and goes short to Lavoie, who is almost covered, but he is able to reel it in. Looking back over the top, but he's got Bond all over him, so he spins. Now he uses a one-hand pass. Nice one there to Letourneau. Bat all over him, forces him back. And that'll be another turnover for the Australians as they, again, apply that relentless pressure and force Canada to turn the ball over.
A lot of times you just got to make that first pass out, and it's easier said than done because both Bat and Bond put so much pressure on the ball that sometimes it's tough to see your outlets.
And how much is it in your head where it's, you know that you have no timeouts and you feel the heat and there's no pass and everything kind of goes in your head and then you're forced to turn it out?
Well, there's a lot going on as a ball carrier for the Canadians here. You have to worry about 12 seconds getting over half. You got Bat or Bond right in your face, potentially flipping the ball. You got to worry about 10 seconds where you can have to dribble the ball. And you got to keep an eye on your outlets. I mean, all that going on all at the same time.
Whitehead able to reach up in double coverage and flag that one down. That makes a short bounce pass to Caldwell, who makes in turn another nice one to Smith. Protects the ball as he felt the footsteps of Bond coming. Now goes to Whitehead. So a good job of execution all around to the offensive line by the Canadians. 36-31, the Australians lead. 5:07 to go in the third quarter as Bat starting back with the ball, accepts some contact from Smith. Able to find Bond. Bounces the ball to contain, looking behind him, making sure the defense is on the other side. Caldwell declaring himself inbounder to get away from the traffic there.
Shane Smith working in transition, trying to stay free, not tried to deny the .5s from locking him down.
Caldwell over the top. Whitehead in open space. Picking up some speed over center. 2-on-1 down low and just fights his way through, and I believe he was reached in on, so is that a penalty goal?
What's going on? Okay, yeah.
Bond. Fawcett and Bond. Play catch is ball now over center, gets away from 2 Canadians. Caldwell contacts him hard, but still has him in a lane and he uses it.
So tough. That's a small win for the Canadians by at least forcing a give and go between Bond and the .5. But again, Bond is no slouch, and he just goes coast to coast.
Oh, Smith couldn't quite reach back to get that one, so Bond gets it on the turnover. And he will be able to score. So the Canadians with another turnover, a costly one at that, is now a 7-point gap. So this game's starting to get away from the Canadians, especially with no timeouts, as the Australians have 3. So another pretty big advantage there. Caldwell, Whitehead. Spinning away from Bat. Bat reaching in on him hard.
Oh.
Looked like he might have had a turnover, but they deem it not legal.
Reach was that a reach or a turnover? Looks like a reach.
Lucky for Whitehead there, as he was in all sorts of trouble. But at this point, you can maybe, if you're Australia, afford to be a little more aggressive, just given the score.
Looks like Australia's going back to their starting lineup. As you can see, they rotate their deuces.
Whitehead for Canada. Over center on the power play. As Bond is still having a discussion with the ref, doesn't agree with the call.
Australia taking a bench timeout. Want to discuss things over. Looked like they were trying to bail Riley out from forcing him to inbound. But looks like they just want to talk about it.
4:07 to go, third quarter, 6-point lead for the Australians. 3 timeouts in their back pocket. Canada has none.
Team Canada had some success against this 3-5-2-2 .5 lineup early on in the game. We'll see if that plays out again.
Just trying to claw their way back into this one are the Canadians, but they're going to have to be aggressive and force some turnovers if they're going to do so, and of course not make any themselves. As we're about set to get underway again, it will be Harrison back in the game after a lengthy absence, set to inbound the ball. Finds Bat. Good pick there by Harrison, giving Bat some space to get his wheels going, and that's all he needs. So that one pick by Harrison deep in the court, able to work for Bat. Caldwell. Caldwell to Rodriguez, back to Caldwell. Got a little bit of room, not much speed going. Just wants to get that center line. He does. Now he goes over the top. What's going to happen here? And a good job by Whitehead to reach in as Edmondson made contact.
Nice
but
hustle.
yeah, using his frame to his advantage there. That back the other way. What an over-the-top pass. Finds Edmondson.
Aussie's going back in the key again. Let's see if they do their center court trap. Here they come.
Whitehead. Caldwell gets it, now protects it. Over center. Nice pick by Whitehead, giving Caldwell some room. Other side to Smith. Had to reach back and chest that one in his body, but does a good job.
Well, the lineup that Canada has on right now, they all know each other so well. All 4 of those guys play for Team Ontario.
Quick transition by the Australians, and Edmondson will take that one in. So it's still a 7-point gap for the Canadians. Can they create some turnovers and get themselves back in this one? Smith doing a good job reeling it in with one arm, putting it into his lap and scoring. Edmondson. Pressured out by Smith. Now Whitehead.
Pressure. You got a piece of that too.
Yes, but unfortunately for the Canadians, winds up in the worst guy's hands. His back gets it. Something happened there. Maybe it was Smith who swatted it bad. I'm not sure what they're calling here.
Looks like Cody Caldwell with the equipment.
Yes, it is. It appears both.
Again, the Aussies working in transition, taking advantage of the stoppage in play, looking to tie up Mike Whitehead here. With this balanced lineup with Australia, they don't have the same presence when they run 2-on-3 because they have to switch out a deuce for Bond.
Whitehead has no speed, but he's able to use his arms to make a good pass to Smith there. Smith is so quick and unafraid of contact. Harrison for the Australians inbounding the ball. Edmondson takes it to the middle, gets a nice pick from Fawcett, and another one from Bat, so he gets over center, does Edmondson. Now he's double teamed by Rodriguez and Whitehead. Bat coming in behind him, what's he going to do? In a little bit of trouble, Smith gets it, and it ultimately ends up in the lap of Whitehead, so there's one of the turnovers the Canadians needed if they want to claw back into this one. And the coaches are urging their players to use a timeout, but can't take it back now as Whitehead double teamed. What's he going to do with the ball? Makes a short pass to Caldwell. Looks like he wants a long lob. Was prevented from doing so and keeps the ball himself. He's now got a center lane. Bat was the last man. Able to get it over the top to Smith. So Canada taking advantage of that turnover, and they'll need to do a little more of that in the last 10 minutes of regulation time at least. Edmondson double teamed again by the Canadians.
Trouble again.
And now they do, so they heed the coach's words there, but good job of the Canadians causing one turnover and forcing the Australians into another, taking a timeout, almost another at least, taking a timeout.
Team Canada looking to force the deuces of Australia to handle the ball as much as possible and or make as many decisions as possible.
And you'd like to see that aggressive approach by Team Canada, showing that they, still believe mentally that they can get back into this one and not throwing up the white flag. 1:55 to go in the third quarter. Down by 5 now. Makes the Australians spend a timeout. They still have 2 though, so we do mention those things come into play because if they didn't have them, turnovers is a high percentage. It would wind up as a point.
Right, whereas we see Team Canada on the other end, they're probably going to start chucking some bombs when it gets close to the 12-second count when they're trying to break the press.
So the Australians start from deep in their own zone. Smith reaching in on Bat, making life difficult. And I believe he was called. Not happy with the call, but he's going to spend a minute or less in the box, and usually in this game it is less. Most teams do score, and clock management again. You'll start to see it here. Harrison. Edmondson. Spins. Whitehead doing a good job of trying to stay with him. He's got Bat open. Tosses one into space. He will score, and the penalty's over.
Yeah, the penalty trap set up on Shane Smith, thereby forcing him to inbound.
Smith
with decent range. Ooh, that was a bit of a heater.
He hooks a brick and unable to connect. And that's really a play you don't want to see. You'd rather see the more conservative approach, especially considering that you've kind of built a little momentum lately.
Sometimes you have to recognize the function of your players. Sometimes, if that was a pass to Mike Whitehead, who's sure-handed and has a bit more function, he probably would have received that pass. Cody Caldwell with the 2-pointer, having limited hand function, had that ball slept through him.
Speaking of Caldwell, almost able to turn that ball over. He got underneath it, but the Australians were able to maintain possession. So a good job of Canada turning up the heat on the Australians. Got to keep that going here. And let's see what they can do. Oh, long lob. That one into trouble there as Canada ahead with it. And Smith will score. And all the Australians again with the ball. It's Harrison. He gets it over the top to Bat. Bat's got the middle lane here. Bouncing it as Smith trying to make his life difficult.
Aussies exercising clock management again. We'll see how Canada wants to defend this.
Quick shimmy. Smith again reaching in on Bat. But they just call it a penalty goal, I believe.
It looked like it should have been a penalty try since the penalty happened as Riley was in a scoring position.
But it will be.
The refs decided that there was a penalty.
You've got to applaud the aggressiveness of Smith there, but you've got to kind of try to walk the line as much as you can. Easier said than done, obviously. But Harrison finds his man in Edmondson.
Yeah, Aussies want to score quick. 55 seconds left on the clock. Canadians looking to score quick in order to give themselves a chance to score last goal.
So the lead back up to 7 for the Australians as Caldwell lobs a long one ahead to Whitehead. Contending with Bat, accepts the contact and bounces the ball. Edmondson and Bat making his life challenging there before Caldwell ultimately does score. 44.5 to go in the third quarter. And Australians with likely one last possession as Harrison gets it over the top.
Aussies will probably hold for one. Yeah, it looks like they are.
Maybe even use their timeout. Who knows?
Canadians will most likely drop back in the key if they're able to.
Smith locking up with a couple Australians. His Bat just trying to eat some clock here. Here's the countdown from his teammates so he knows exactly how much time he has. Now he gets a nice pick from Fawcett in a lane. And Whitehead forces him over the line, so with 8.8. What do the Canadians have up their sleeve? Caldwell goes short to Whitehead. Picks up speed, gets a nice pick from Rodriguez, but undaunted. Bat gets away, makes a couple moves into deep court. That's not going to work. And the Australians will go to the fourth quarter play, up by 7, 47-40. So as the Canadians were building momentum, we mentioned how big those timeouts could have, or not having one, and the Australians having a few could be, and that's what it turned out to be. Because they weren't able to expand that score as much as perhaps they would have.
Most teams use their players' timeout as bailout options, really.
So the Canadians, with a spirited third quarter, really pressed the issue, and we mentioned things you'd want to see up until tomorrow's game as these two teams will play again, and you'd want to see more of that presence on the ball and that hard work and working in unison.
I'm sure the coaches are planning ahead, knowing that they're going to eventually see each other tomorrow. So I'm sure they have something up their sleeve as far as what they want to get out of this game.
While it's definitely not Bat and Bond leaving the court, they haven't yet so far. And wouldn't really expect them to. Actually, maybe could you see them maybe taking, giving them a couple minutes off, or just with the lead the way it is and the fact that Canada has no players' timeouts left?
Are you referring to
Bat and Bond? Maybe, because they haven't seen the bench yet in this one. So
no, and that's a good point because it comes back to tournament management. Sometimes you don't want to run your best players into the ground because you know that they have to conserve some energy for the next game tomorrow. But then at the same time, you want to be able to, accomplish whatever goals you have set out for this particular game.
So just under a half minute away from getting underway in this fourth and looks like final quarter, unless the Canadians have a miracle comeback up their sleeve.
Well, as you said, I guess they are giving Riley Bat a bit of a break. We got Bond with the deuces on.
Hirschfield, Whitehead, Lavoie, spinning, contacts Edmondson, able to get away. Bond reaching in, but not able to pry the ball free over the top to Whitehead, and does his patented back in there.
Canada making some subs too with the 3-3-1-1 on right now. We do have a high-low lineup versus a balanced lineup from Australia. A lot of times these matchups tend to favor the high-low lineup because you have one of the high pointers battling a deuce. But we'll see how this plays out.
Edmondson able to work himself free, getting encouragement from his bench before he scores. Lavoie in double
They gotta
coverage.
get over half.
Just able to do so. As Hirschfield will get that one down. And it will be an Australian inbound. Edmondson looking.
Oh, that's just a warning, yeah. So both teams, they get a one contact before the whistle warning for each half. Once you exercise that contact warning, then the next penalty, if you if you don't have team possession, you will go in the box.
Was that on Nicholson there, that warning?
Yeah, and if you have team possession and you get a contact before the whistle, and you have no more warnings left, then that could result in a turnover.
Edmondson, oh, there's some more hard contact by Nicholson on Lavoie. Bond with the ball, spinning away from coverage, gets an outside route, and is able to use it. As Scott is making an appearance in the game for the Australians as well.
Bond doing a great job there, setting up his picks in order to get that score too.
Lavoie. Desjardins there just trying to take Nicholson out of the play now. Gets the ball.
Nicholson looked like he was called for a technical for not allowing Fabien Lavoie onto the court.
Walking that fine line a little too far on the wrong side, and will spend a minute or less in the box. Whitehead. Slowing things down. He's got a clear route to the net and a man in the open field, and that's Lavoie who gets the pass. Nicholson out from the box into the inbound, tosses one into the lap of Bond, realizes he's got some real estate, uses it. So the Australians up 50-43, 6:38 to go in the fourth quarter. This one is Hirschfield inbounding for Canada. Whitehead trying to give him an option, but we've got a call here.
Looked like a signal for the shot clock, I think. Either it didn't start or something was up with the shot clock.
Hirschfield not afraid to toss it in coverage, knowing Whitehead's got those big arms to reel it down, and he does to
It'll be a drag
Lavoie.
race.
Bond trying to help out, but Lavoie, you mentioned, has got that speed, and he uses it there.
Great push by both players. Canada with some great transition, forcing Bond to inbound here.
Bond. Edmondson. Nicholson trying to help him get a lane, goes over the top to Bond and looking behind him and seeing what's coming, and now just delaying, making things are taken care of at the other end as we see a lockup at the center court before the Australians will score. Hirschfield.
Aussies returning the favor by working in transition to tie up Fabien Lavoie.
Hirschfield. Whitehead. Spinning to get away from Bond. Nice pass to Hirschfield, who can't corral that one. So it is a turnover by the Canadians, not one that you want to see.
It's a tough pass for Hirschfield to pick up there, rolling real low and also on his left side there.
Nice pass on the other end, Edmondson to Bond. Hirschfield. One-handed hook to Lavoie. Desjardins, good job of picking off Nicholson, but Nicholson trying to prevent Lavoie, but he's already got too much momentum. Bond reaching in, but that's a penalty goal, I believe. We're set to see a few more substitutions by Canada here. Looks like Morale and Caldwell will be coming back in. Oh, over the top. Go the Australians, and the Canadians originally can't come up with it, but eventually Whitehead does. And a lot of times you see that in turnovers. It doesn't end up exactly on the guy you think it will. It kind of bounces.
Ping-pongs around until before it gets into someone's hands.
Ended up in the right side hands if you're a Canadian fan. And Edmondson, I believe, needs a little bit of maintenance before inbounding the ball. Nicholson, Edmondson, Bond. Accelerating on the outside, gets a little chop from Lavoie. Hirschfield. Nice pass into the long arms of Whitehead, who hooks it into the middle and wide open and awaiting Lavoie was. Edmondson. Bond deep in his own court, double teamed. Spins and spins again to get away from coverage. Fakes a pass. And one more time, he's got to get over center, which he does. Now he's got a wide open lane. And he's just killing a bit more time. Now he scores. 5:01 to go. 54-47 for the Australians. Whitehead squeezes through. No, he doesn't. As Edmondson and Bond able to prevent him from scoring, and Desjardins able to get that pass. And Nicholson trying to stay with Lavoie.
You can see Nicholson let off a little bit there, concerned that he might contact Fabien Lavoie there. If there was a contact call, the Aussies would have had to give up the ball. It would have been a turnover.
He's already been warned and taken a penalty recently, so perhaps a little more aware than he would usually be. Edmondson.
Give and go. It's kind of
He's
what
got
the
Scott with
Canadians are
him now.
looking for.
Scott's in trouble, but gets it to Nicholson. Back to Bond, who's really quarterbacking things for the Australian. Makes a quick shift to the middle. And nice contact there by Nicholson, taking Whitehead out of the play. And that's going to enable Bond to score.
Bond's done a great job being Aussie's workhorse for this quarter, giving Riley a much-needed break.
Lavoie. Hirschfield trying to help him out. And you got to give Nicholson credit. I mean, he's hustling all over the court, being as physical as he can be, being a disturbance. And yeah, he may have gone over the line to get a few penalties, but you know, if that's your game, you got to play to your strengths. And
we got two equipment? Oh, there we go, yeah.
As I was saying about earlier, in the States, we're playing with Aoki so many equipments, and the more contact you dish out and get, the more equipments you're going to need. And no wonder why Nicholson needs one there. Lavoie goes to Desjardins, and he's able to squeeze through two Australians as Scott and Bond couldn't stop him.
Nice post up by Pico there, number 12.
Dangerous pass to Bond, who does field it down. Gets an outside route, and he's going to be tough to catch from here. Seven-point lead, 4 minutes to go. The result no longer really in doubt. Hirschfield, a little bit of a hoper pass, and Bond makes him pay for it. as he just hooked it ahead to his man in coverage there.
Well, Trevor Hirschfield was trying to use Mike Whitehead's height there to get the ball in. But as the ball was in the air, it looked like both Bond and the Deuce kind of pushed him out of bounds or changed his chair position so that the pass actually sailed over top of Whitehead.
Oh, and Lavoie is pressured, so he loses the ball on the ground, but recovered nicely by Desjardins, who's surrounded by 3 Australians, looking for a play, and a great one in triple coverage to Lavoie. So that is Desjardins just able to fight off 3 Australians there and make a good pass.
It's a walk in the park for these ones. Both Trevor Hirschfield and Pico, probably one of the best 1-2 combos for ones in the world.
3:33 to go, fourth quarter. The Australians have a 7-point lead, 57-50. Still 2 timeouts in their back pocket, should they choose to use them. Edmondson inbounding. Bond. Really been a workhorse carrying the mail this one since Bat's been off the floor. Makes another nice move to get away. And now beats his man up the court, Debley.
It's nice to see number 31, Matt Debley, getting some playing time here. Matt, number 31, another Canada Cup rookie. We'll see how. We'll see if he has any nerves at being a Canada Cup rookie.
He has been used rather sparingly, but he has been noticeable when he has seen the floor. As the Australians finally making some subs, and Riley Bat along with Fawcett and Ozan.
I know when I was a rookie and I first came on, oh man, that was just a bundle of nerves.
And how long does it take for you to kind of wash away those nerves or kind of focus them better?
To be honest, I don't think they ever truly go away. They just become less of a distraction, that's all.
As the aforementioned Debley converts there. Bond on the inbound to Bat. Triple teamed, spins away. Caldwell trying to keep him locked down, but can't do it. Nice pass as Bond reaches for that one, but he's able to clap it down.
Well, Riley had a nice 6-minute break for this quarter, so he's coming out flying like a new man.
As Desjardins and Morale play give and go. Debley. Long hook into the chest of Caldwell. He's in a little bit of trouble here. Decides to protect the ball. Gets a good pick for him. Desjardins now slows things down. Morale. Morale spinning. Trying to take the middle and find a lane. Bat challenging him, but he makes one more nice pass to Debley. Hasn't scored yet. Reached in on hard by Bat there.
The Aussies dropping back in the key, looking to maybe capitalize on the fact that Mike Whitehead is out of the game.
And why did they call that turnover there?
No, it wasn't turnover. It was a jump ball, so they got a jump ball on number 31, Delby, as he tried to score. They got a hand on it.
Bond now with the ball. Debley not wanting to make his life easy. 2:04 to go in this one. 9-point lead for the Australians.
Aussies going back in the key again. A lot of times when you run key offense, it's nice to have either a tall person to either as a postman to drop the ball into, or someone who is very elusive who can just take a full court run, not a full court run, a half court run at the offensive key and then just blast through and ground game it.
And it's Morale with the ball. Over the top, good pass to Debley there, but I don't think that one will count.
Yeah, Matt Delby getting blasted out of bounds by Bond.
And here is Bat the other way.
Guarantee you Delby will remember all these experiences, whether he's getting boo food or jump balls, and he'll only get better from this point on.
Morale over center going to take some big contact, but it was almost minimized by Ozan, who was in there. Caldwell getting a pick from Debley. And another one, trying to give him some space from Bond. And it ends up working as Desjardins gets it in. Oh, what a spin by Bat there, and he's able to stay in his chair. Reminiscent of an old Tony Hawk video game on that one. Using those edges once again to find some space in the defensive end, gets his speed. One more to the middle. Oh, hard block by Bond there. Sends his man flying. And that's Debley on the ground.
So in wheelchair rugby, you can crack back on anyone at any time as long as it's considered a clean hit, meaning it's not hitting someone from behind or hitting someone behind the axle. And sometimes if you're chasing down someone, you're pushing with your head down, you get clipped. It looked like that's what happened there.
Morale, good inbound for Canada. 1:09 to go. Throws pass in coverage and Bond was there, but he gets it to Debley. Spins off Bond, now goes back to Morale. Fields it down. Bat pressuring him hard. Knocks it out of his hands. Can he recover? Looks like he does there. Great job by Bat of relentless pressure regardless of the score, able to get it to Bond. So a big play there by the Australians late.
Bat getting a flip there as he leans over and gets a flip on the ball. There's always a threat on the ball to either flip or get a jump ball.
And Morale going to an open Caldwell. Fawcett there, and Bat reaches in. And the Australians have a 10-point lead, 63-53. Just over one possession to go as there's 42.6 left on the clock. Fawcett gets it. Charged that hard by Caldwell. Bonded from behind to help him out. Lofts one, and Morale doing a good job of trying to compete on that ball, but Bat able to field it down. Debley's his last line of pressure, but he's of course going to eat the clock as much as he can here. Just a little more on the game clock than the shot clock. Bat bounces it. Maybe he might just use a timeout here. Who knows? They have two.
No,
but
they're
he
going
will
to just
score.
try to score. Yeah. So Canada can still try to practice here with 7 seconds left to try to run the full court and try to get a score.
What's the most amazing play you've seen kind of
from end to end, you mean?
Yeah, at the end of a quarter.
Yeah,
or
I've seen some crazy things. I've seen people score with less than 2 seconds. Yeah, 1.1 seconds left.
And was that also when the game was on the line?
Well, the game was on. Well, it was to go into overtime.
Well, that's still pretty big.
So yeah, they bumped it to full court and scored with 1 second left.
So Canada in the dress rehearsal for the bronze medal game tomorrow loses by 11.64-53. Competitive affair, at least in the first kind of half, and even at parts of the third quarter, I thought Canada responded well, but after that third quarter push, they didn't have much left. And we'll see if they can rewrite the script for tomorrow's bronze medal match and come here on home court with a medal.
Yeah, Canada showed a tremendous amount of compete level. They shouldn't hang their heads at all. They should be happy with their effort and just turn the page and get prepared for tomorrow's game.
And tomorrow, we mentioned there are a lot of games. There's a 5-6 game that's Denmark versus Sweden at 10 on court 2, I believe, and then at 12 we'll have this bronze medal game here on court 1. That's Canada and Australia, and then the grand finale of the gold medal game will be the States and Japan at 2. So either if you live close to here, check out the games live or check in on Canada Sports TV. And for Ian Chan, I am Colin Emerson, and thank you so much for tuning in.